Imagine a life where everything you've built, everything you've trusted, suddenly crumbles. A betrayal that shatters your world, turning friends into foes, and love into lies. What would you do if the person closest to you was the one who destroyed everything? This is the story of Nathan, a man whose loyalty and trust were shattered by the very people he once called family. A ruthless business empire, lies, deceit, and the fight for survival. Join us as we unravel the twisted web of betrayal, power, and redemption. This is no ordinary battle, it's a war for the truth. In a world where every decision could cost him everything, Nathan's world will be turned upside down. But who can he trust? Will justice prevail? Or will the shadows consume him? Get ready. This is just the beginning, and the end is closer than you think. Stay tuned, because the journey is far from over. If you want to see how the story unfolds, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think is behind the betrayal? We'd love to hear your theories. Nathan Rivers was the kind of man who always prided himself on his ability to control his life. A successful architect, he was known for his dedication to both his work and his family. His wife, Isla, was his world, and together they had built a life full of comfort, stability, and success. After a long business trip to New York, Nathan returned home earlier than expected, looking forward to surprising Isla with a gift he had bought for her during his travels. He had been thinking about her constantly, missing the small moments they shared. As he stepped into the house, he heard the familiar sound of Isla's laughter coming from the living room. He smiled, ready to join her for a quiet evening. But then, something stopped him. He overheard her voice, but this time, it was different, lower, almost secretive. Isla was talking to her mother on the phone. Nathan hesitated, standing in the doorway, listening as Isla spoke with a tone he had never heard before. "I'm meeting Julian tonight. We have to be careful, though. Nathan can't know. He's getting suspicious," Isla said, her voice trembling with excitement and guilt. Nathan's stomach dropped. Julian? Who was he? His mind raced as he pieced together the fragments of information he had overheard. His wife, the woman he thought he knew better than anyone, was betraying him. Nathan's heart pounded as he quietly backed away from the door. This wasn't the homecoming he had envisioned. The shock of hearing Isla's confession was almost too much to bear. Nathan paced around his office late into the night, his mind racing with the thought of what he had just learned. He couldn't confront Isla without knowing more, he needed evidence, and he needed it fast. That's when he reached out to Samantha Ford, an old friend from college. Samantha wasn't just a friend, she was also a brilliant lawyer with years of experience in handling delicate matters like this. They had kept in touch over the years, and now, Nathan needed her help more than ever. He called her the next morning. "Samantha, I need your help. Isla, she's been cheating on me, and I need to find out everything. I don't know who to trust right now." Samantha listened carefully, her voice calm and reassuring. "Nathan, I'll help you. But we need to be smart about this. First, we gather proof, every little piece of evidence that can protect you." Nathan agreed. Together, they would plan how to confront Isla, but he knew it would take time. Time to build his case, time to prepare. Samantha brought in Liam, her brother and a seasoned private investigator, to track Isla's movements. They also enlisted the help of Daniel, a cybersecurity expert who could track Isla's digital footprint, from emails to social media interactions. The plan was simple: get undeniable proof of the affair and any other hidden secrets. Nathan's anxiety grew each day as he watched Isla go about her life as if nothing had changed. He could barely recognize the woman he had married, the woman who had once been so open with him. Yet, he had to stay focused. For weeks, Liam followed Isla's every step, and Daniel worked tirelessly to break into her online accounts. They discovered hidden messages between Isla and Julian, even some encrypted texts that suggested their affair was not just physical but financially motivated as well. Julian wasn't just a lover, he was involved in some shady business dealings. But Nathan kept his composure. He was playing the long game. Finally, the day came. Nathan had all the evidence he needed: texts, photos, financial transfers, and even recordings of Isla's secretive phone calls with Julian. With everything in place, Nathan was ready to face his wife. When he walked into their living room that evening, Isla was sitting on the couch, looking as calm and composed as ever. She didn't know that the world around her was about to crumble. "Nathan," she greeted him, her voice light. "How was your day?" Nathan paused for a moment, then sat down across from her. His heart was pounding, but he couldn't back down now. "I think you know why I'm here, Isla," he said, his voice steady. Isla's expression shifted, her eyes widening with panic. "What do you mean?" Nathan placed the phone on the coffee table, the screen showing the incriminating messages. "Don't lie to me. I know everything." Isla gasped, her hand trembling as she reached for the phone. "Nathan, this isn't what you think." "No, Isla. It's exactly what I think," Nathan said, his voice growing colder. "You've been cheating on me with Julian. And not just that. You've been involved in illegal schemes with him. I'm done." Isla's face turned pale as the truth came crashing down on her. She tried to defend herself, to make excuses, but Nathan wasn't listening anymore. His mind was already made up. He slid the divorce papers across the table. "It's over." The next step was to expose Julian, the man who had seduced his wife and manipulated her into participating in fraudulent activities. Nathan had learned enough from the investigation to know that Julian was more than just a charming lover, he was a conman. Through Samantha's connections, Nathan organized a meeting with Julian under the pretense of a business opportunity. He created a fake company, Riverside Enterprises, and convinced Julian that he was interested in a high-value investment project. Julian, always eager to exploit a rich client, was more than willing to jump on the opportunity. Nathan, along with Liam and Daniel, set up a trap. They arranged for a meeting in a private office, and as soon as Julian signed the contract for the investment, the police swooped in, arresting him for his involvement in multiple fraud schemes targeting wealthy individuals. "Gotcha," Nathan muttered as he watched Julian being led away in handcuffs. With Julian behind bars, the truth about Isla's involvement came to light. As Nathan's legal team worked to build their case, it became evident that Isla had been more than just a victim of Julian's charms. She had knowingly helped him with his fraudulent schemes, siphoning off money from Nathan's accounts and others in their circle. A journalist, Olivia Harris, known for her investigative reporting, caught wind of the story and approached Nathan. With Olivia's help, the story of Isla's betrayal was published, exposing her to the public in a way that Nathan never could have done on his own. She had lost everything, her reputation, her wealth, and her future. Nathan didn't feel relief or triumph, instead, he felt the bitter sting of betrayal. But now, with Isla out of his life and Julian behind bars, he could finally begin to rebuild. Months passed, and Nathan slowly started to heal. He focused on his career and his personal life, something he had neglected for far too long. His relationship with Samantha deepened, but he wasn't ready to rush into anything just yet. His heart still needed time to recover. He continued to work on his architectural projects, finding peace in his work and the stability he had once believed he had with Isla. But now, he had learned the hard way that nothing in life was guaranteed, not even love. Nathan's journey wasn't just about exposing lies, it was about rediscovering who he was after everything had fallen apart. As he stood in his new office, looking at the skyline through the large windows, he knew the future was uncertain. But for the first time in years, he felt ready for whatever came next. Months had passed since the collapse of Nathan's marriage. The media frenzy surrounding Isla's affair with Julian had finally quieted, and with it, Nathan felt an uneasy sense of normalcy returning to his life. His architectural projects were flourishing, and he had even considered expanding his business further. But something was missing. Samantha had become a close friend, almost like family. She supported him through everything, and although there was undeniable chemistry between them, Nathan wasn't sure if he was ready to open his heart to anyone again. He had learned the hard way that even the people closest to you could betray you. Still, Samantha had insisted that he move forward with his life. "You're stronger than this, Nathan. You've been through the worst. Now it's time to rebuild, not just your career but your personal life too. You deserve happiness." Nathan appreciated her advice, but the scars left by Isla and Julian's betrayal were not so easily healed. One evening, as Nathan was reviewing a proposal for a new architectural project, his phone buzzed with an unexpected message. It was from Olivia Harris, the investigative journalist who had helped expose Isla's involvement with Julian. "Call me when you get a chance. It's urgent," the message read. His heart skipped a beat. Olivia had always been professional, but her tone suggested something was wrong. Without hesitation, Nathan dialed her number. "Olivia, what's going on?" Nathan asked, the concern in his voice obvious. "There's something you need to know, Nathan," Olivia's voice was serious. "I've been digging into some of Julian's old contacts. You might think his arrest was the end of the story, but I'm afraid it's far from it." Nathan frowned. "What do you mean?" "I've uncovered a web of connections, people Julian was involved with, some of whom are far more dangerous than him. And Isla's involvement in this isn't over. I think she's been working with them all along." Nathan felt his stomach turn. "How do you know this?" Olivia hesitated before responding. "I can't go into the details over the phone, but I need to meet you. There's more at play here than you realize. Trust me." Nathan agreed to meet her the next morning. The unease that had been creeping in over the past few weeks was now a full-blown storm of questions and doubts. The following morning, Nathan and Olivia met at a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. Olivia looked visibly tired, her eyes shadowed with worry. "I've been tracking Julian's associates for weeks now," she began. "One of them, a man named Victor Russo, has ties to some very powerful people. Julian wasn't just a small-time con artist, he was a pawn in a much bigger game." Nathan's mind raced. "What does this have to do with Isla?" Olivia leaned in, lowering her voice. Isla's involvement with Julian wasn't just about cheating. She was being manipulated. And she wasn't the only one. There's a whole underground operation targeting high-profile individuals, people like you, Nathan. People with wealth and influence." Nathan recoiled. "Are you telling me that Julian and Isla were involved in a larger criminal network?" "Yes," Olivia replied. "But that's not the worst part. I believe they were trying to use your company as a front for laundering money." Nathan's blood ran cold. "My company? No, that can't be true." "I know this sounds insane," Olivia said, "but I've been following the breadcrumbs. There's a connection between Julian, Isla, and Victor Russo's associates. I think they were setting you up, Nathan. They were trying to frame you for a crime you didn't commit." Nathan's mind was spinning. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a calculated attack on everything he had built. He couldn't fathom that Isla, the woman he had trusted, could be part of something so dark and dangerous. Nathan spent the next few days in a daze, trying to make sense of what Olivia had uncovered. He couldn't ignore the possibility that there was a far-reaching conspiracy at play, one that involved both his estranged wife and the conman who had almost destroyed him. He met with Samantha later that week, telling her about Olivia's discovery. Samantha, ever the strategist, knew the importance of acting fast. "We need to bring this to light before it's too late," she said. "But we need to be careful. If what Olivia says is true, there are powerful people involved, people who won't hesitate to silence you." Nathan agreed. But this time, he wasn't going to sit back and let others control the narrative. He would take control of the situation, no matter what it took. Samantha brought in her brother Liam again, along with a cybersecurity expert who had worked on some of their previous cases. Together, they dug deeper into the criminal network Olivia had uncovered. It didn't take long for them to realize that the scope of the operation was vast. Victor Russo was just the tip of the iceberg. Nathan knew that confronting these people would put him and his allies at risk. But he also knew one thing: he couldn't let the people who had betrayed him continue to destroy his life. He would fight back, no matter the cost. While Nathan and his team worked tirelessly to gather evidence and strategize their next steps, Isla remained elusive. She hadn't made any public statements since the scandal, and Nathan had not heard from her directly in weeks. But he knew she was out there, and he couldn't shake the feeling that she was plotting something behind the scenes. One evening, Nathan received a call from Olivia. "Nathan, we've got a problem," she said urgently. "I've just learned that Victor Russo is planning to meet with someone close to you, someone you trust. We don't know who, but I have a bad feeling about it. Nathan's heart raced. Who is it, Olivia? Who's the target? I don't know yet. But you need to be careful, Olivia warned. Whoever it is, they're going to try to use them to get to you. Nathan stood up, his mind already working through the possibilities. Who could be at risk? Who was close enough to him to be used as leverage? As the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, Nathan realized that the stakes were higher than ever. The conspiracy was much larger than he had imagined, and it was closing in on him fast. Nathan sat at his desk, the weight of Olivia's warning lingering in his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming, something far worse than he had already endured. The walls felt like they were closing in, and the stakes were higher than ever. Samantha and Liam were already working overtime to track down the connection between Victor Russo and the mysterious individual who was close to him. Nathan spent long nights reviewing the files Olivia had sent over, trying to piece together the puzzle. It didn't help that Isla, though quiet for now, had disappeared from the public eye completely, making it impossible to predict her next move. It wasn't until a few days later that they got the break they needed. Samantha called him in the middle of the afternoon. Nathan, you need to see this. I think we found the person. They're targeting. Nathan's pulse quickened. Who is it? Samantha's voice was tense. It's Maya. Your assistant. Maya had been working with Nathan for almost a year now, and he had come to trust her like family. She was efficient, sharp, and loyal, at least, that's what he thought. But now, with the news from Samantha, everything he thought he knew about her was thrown into question. I don't understand, Nathan said, his voice hoarse with disbelief. Maya? How can this be? Samantha's voice was calm but urgent. We've been tracking Victor Russo's associates, and we found some strange patterns in Maya's communications. She's been in contact with them, Nathan. Not just once or twice, repeatedly. And we found evidence of money transfers linked to accounts we know are connected to Russo's organization. Nathan's mind raced. Could it be true? Could Maya, his trusted assistant, the one who had been by his side through all the chaos, have been working with the enemy all along? I need to talk to her, Nathan said, determination in his voice. But as he walked toward the office, his gut twisted with dread. What if it was all a setup? What if someone was framing Maya to get to him? When Nathan entered the office, Maya was sitting at her desk, her back turned to him. Her expression was unreadable as she typed on her computer, but when she sensed him behind her, she turned. Nathan, you're back early, she said, her tone neutral, though there was a flicker of something in her eyes that Nathan couldn't quite place. I need to talk to you, Nathan replied, his voice tight with a mixture of frustration and suspicion. About what I've found. Maya's face remained calm, but Nathan could see the smallest hint of tension in her shoulders. What do you mean? Nathan pulled out his phone, displaying the incriminating evidence. I've seen the communications, Maya. The money transfers. The connections to Russo's network. How long have you been working with him? For a moment, Maya didn't speak. She simply stared at him, her eyes betraying no emotion. Then, she sighed, closing her laptop with a slow, deliberate motion. Nathan, you don't understand. The words hit him like a slap to the face. So it's true. You've been playing me this whole time. Maya stood up slowly, her posture still composed. I never wanted this to happen, Nathan. But you don't know the full picture. You're in danger, and I was trying to protect you. Nathan's mind reeled. Protect me? By betraying me? By working with the very people who tried to destroy my life? I never wanted to betray you, Maya said, her voice shaking now. But I didn't have a choice. They have my sister. Nathan. They've threatened her, and I had to cooperate. I was doing everything I could to keep her safe, and to keep you safe too. But I never wanted you to find out this way. Nathan was taken aback. Your sister? Who are you talking about? Maya looked away, unable to meet his gaze. They've been blackmailing me for months. If I didn't do what they asked, they would kill her. I had no choice, Nathan. I had to keep my sister alive. Nathan felt his anger give way to confusion and empathy. Was Maya really a traitor, or had she been forced into this position by the ruthless people behind the conspiracy? He paused, his mind racing. What do they want from me, Maya? What are they planning? She hesitated before speaking, her voice barely above a whisper. They want your company, Nathan. They're going to use you as a pawn to take it from you. They've already infiltrated your business, and they're going to ruin you unless you cooperate. Nathan's blood ran cold. The stakes were higher than he had imagined, and it wasn't just about him anymore, it was about protecting the people he cared about. Nathan had a choice to make. The man he had trusted, the woman who had worked by his side, had been coerced into a terrible position. His first instinct was to walk away from it all, to remove Maya from his life and move forward alone. But he couldn't turn his back on her when she was clearly a victim of this larger conspiracy. He looked her in the eye, his voice low. Tell me everything. Everything you know. We have to stop them. Maya nodded, relief flooding her face. She quickly began to explain what she had learned during her time with the criminal network, detailing the plan to take over his business and the people behind it. There were even higher-ups, individuals far more dangerous than Victor Russo, people Nathan had never even considered. As she spoke, Nathan's mind worked furiously. There were too many moving pieces, and the danger was more real than he had ever imagined. But with Maya's help, maybe they could turn the tables. Here's what we're going to do, Nathan said, his voice now steady and resolute. We're going to expose them before they can make their move. We're going to take them down from the inside. Maya nodded, the weight of her betrayal and the fear for her sister still lingering in her eyes. But now, with Nathan at her side, she knew that they had a chance. As the days passed, Nathan's life seemed to spiral further out of control. What started as a personal betrayal by Isla had snowballed into a massive conspiracy that threatened not only his business but his entire future. And now, Maya, his trusted assistant, was embroiled in it too. But now that she had confessed her involvement with the criminal network, Nathan wasn't going to waste time in regret. They had to act quickly, before those pulling the strings could make their next move. The plan was simple. Expose them before they could destroy everything Nathan had worked for. But nothing was simple anymore. Maya, shaken by her confession and the weight of her sister's safety, was doing everything she could to assist Nathan. She opened up about everything she knew, names, dates, transactions, and the hidden network of people who had been using her. It was a long list of powerful individuals, some of whom had ties to influential figures in politics and business. They were untouchable, or at least, that's what they thought. Samantha, Liam, and the cybersecurity experts Nathan had brought in were all working overtime, cross-referencing information and tracking leads. Nathan knew the danger of this mission. If they were caught, they wouldn't just lose their careers, they could lose their lives. I'm in, Liam said one evening as the group gathered in Nathan's office. I found something that could be the key to all of this. There's a secure server with all the details. If we can get access to it, we might be able to uncover who's behind this entire operation. Nathan leaned in, his eyes narrowing. Where is it? Liam glanced at the screen in front of him. It's in a data center on the outskirts of the city. It's heavily guarded, but if we plan this right, we can get in and get out without anyone noticing. Nathan's pulse quickened. Then we do it tonight. The longer we wait, the more time they have to cover their tracks. We can't afford to let them win. The night was their best chance. Under the cover of darkness, Nathan and his team made their move. Maya, though still reeling from her involvement in the conspiracy, was ready to help. She had knowledge of the inner workings of the network, which meant she knew the key players and the security measures they had put in place to protect their secrets. I'll get us past the first few layers of security, Maya whispered as she led the group through the back streets toward the data center. But once we're inside, we need to move quickly. Liam and the rest of the team followed closely behind, each person carrying specialized tools and equipment. The plan was delicate, relying on perfect timing and coordination. Any mistake could lead to disaster. As they approached the data center, Nathan's heart raced. The building was surrounded by high fences, cameras, and armed guards patrolling the perimeter. But Maya had already memorized the security protocols, and she knew exactly where the blind spots were. We'll have 5 minutes to get in and out, Maya said, her voice steady despite the tension. After that, the system will reset, and we'll be locked out. Nathan nodded. Let's make it count. They moved swiftly, avoiding security cameras and slipping past the guards unnoticed. It was a high-stakes operation, and Nathan could feel the weight of every second ticking by. As they entered the data center, the sterile, cold environment felt suffocating. The only sounds were the hum of machines and their quiet footsteps as they moved deeper into the building. Maya led them to the central server room. This is it, she said, her fingers working quickly on a control panel. We only have a few minutes. Let's hope the data we need is still here. Maya's fingers danced across the keyboard as she worked to access the server. Nathan paced the room, his mind racing with the possibilities. What if they couldn't find anything? What if the network was even more deeply entrenched than they realized? The seconds stretched into what felt like hours. Finally, Maya looked up, her face pale. I got it. Nathan rushed over to her side, his breath catching in his chest. On the screen were files, encrypted documents, and emails, proof of the criminal network that had been manipulating him from the start. But there was something more. He scanned the files quickly, his eyes narrowing as he recognized the names. High-ranking officials, business moguls, even members of law enforcement, all of them were involved in the operation. But then, as he dug deeper, he came across something that made his blood run cold. A file labeled Project Zephyr caught his attention. It was a name he'd never heard before, but as he opened it, he felt his heart drop. The file contained details about a massive international money laundering operation, with his company's name appearing prominently as one of the primary conduits for the illegal transactions. But there was more. At the very bottom of the file, a name appeared, Maya's sister. Nathan turned to Maya, his voice shaking. They've been using your sister as leverage this whole time. She's been caught up in this too. Maya's face paled. No, it can't be. But it was true. The evidence was right in front of them. Her sister, who had been kept hidden for so long, was involved in a dangerous game, one that could cost her everything if Nathan didn't act fast. I need to get her out of this, Maya said, her voice filled with panic. They'll kill her if they find out she's been trying to help us. We have to move quickly. Nathan nodded, resolute. We will. But we need to expose them first. If we don't stop them now, they'll find a way to escape again. The next few days were a blur of frantic planning. Nathan knew that this was his final opportunity to expose the criminal network once and for all. With the evidence in hand, he reached out to Olivia, the journalist who had helped him before. She agreed to help him get the story out to the public, no matter the risks. But they weren't the only ones moving. The network had already caught wind of Nathan's activities, and they were closing in on him. As the final confrontation approached, Nathan was torn between his desire for revenge and his need to protect those he loved. The stakes were higher than ever. One wrong move could endanger everything. On the night of the press release, Nathan and his team prepared for the final showdown. They would expose everything, the money laundering, the political ties, the corrupt officials, and the criminal empire that had been pulling the strings all along. But as they went live, a chilling realization hit Nathan: the network had already anticipated this. They had been one step ahead of him the entire time. Someone on his team had betrayed him. The press conference had started innocently enough. Nathan stood at the podium, his eyes scanning the crowded room of journalists, waiting for the right moment to drop the bombshell. The world was about to know the truth about the criminal network that had been manipulating him, using his company as a pawn in a much larger game of power and greed. But as he spoke, his words suddenly felt hollow. He glanced at the team members around him, Maya, Liam, and Samantha, each of them nervous, their eyes darting around as if waiting for something to go wrong. And then it happened. Mid-sentence, Nathan's phone buzzed in his pocket. He paused for a moment, his heart skipping a beat as he saw the notification on the screen. Encrypted message from unknown source, you've been played. His blood ran cold. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. The plan had already been exposed, someone had tipped off the very people they were trying to bring down. The network was aware of his every move, and now, he was the one in their sights. "Is everything alright, Nathan?" Olivia, the journalist, asked from the back of the room, her eyes narrowing as she observed his sudden shift in demeanor. "Yes," Nathan replied, his voice faltering for just a moment. "It's fine. But it seems I've made a mistake. Someone in this room is working against us." The tension in the room thickened. His words hung in the air, heavy with implications. The reporters murmured among themselves, unsure of what to believe. But Nathan knew one thing for sure, there was a traitor in his midst. He quickly turned his attention to Maya. She looked just as confused, her expression clouded with anxiety. She hadn't received any such message. Could it have been someone else in the team? Had Liam or Samantha been compromised? "Stay calm," he said under his breath to Maya, giving her a subtle signal to stay in the background for now. "We'll figure this out." As the press conference concluded, Nathan hurriedly made his way back to his office, his mind racing. The clock was ticking, whoever was behind this knew the stakes, and they would stop at nothing to destroy him. Liam and Samantha followed him closely, their faces filled with concern. Maya lingered behind them, her face pale, her eyes avoiding Nathan's gaze. Nathan couldn't help but wonder, had Maya been manipulated again, or was she hiding something else? Once in the safety of his office, Nathan locked the door behind him, ensuring they were alone. His pulse was racing. "We've been betrayed," Nathan said, looking at the group. "The network knows about the press release. Someone tipped them off. But who?" Samantha's voice was sharp with suspicion. "It could be anyone, Nathan. It could even be Olivia, she's been close to you, and she knows a lot about what's been going on." Nathan didn't respond immediately. Olivia had been instrumental in helping him expose the truth, but now that the pressure was mounting, could she have turned against him? It was possible, but unlikely. Olivia was a journalist, her motives had always been driven by the desire for a good story. This felt different. "I don't know," Nathan said, shaking his head. "But we have to find out who it is before they do any more damage. If the wrong person gets wind of what we know, we're finished." Liam looked at Nathan, his brow furrowed. "We could try setting a trap. Someone is leaking information to the network. We just need to figure out who it is." Maya finally spoke, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I didn't know who to trust, and now I'm afraid it's too late." Nathan's eyes softened. He understood her fear. "We'll figure this out together." They decided to set up a covert operation to catch the traitor in the act. Maya would pretend to act as a double agent, offering fake information to one of the network's known contacts. Meanwhile, Nathan would monitor her communications, hoping to trace the leak back to its source. They also took precautions to cover their tracks. If anyone were to suspect their plan, it could backfire and put them all at risk. Late that evening, Nathan watched as Maya met with a known associate of the criminal network in a secluded park. She was acting her part perfectly, giving the appearance of someone desperate for a way out of the situation. It was a dangerous game, but it was their only option. As the meeting went on, Nathan and Liam hid in the shadows, waiting for any signs that someone was watching them. They had set up multiple surveillance devices around the area, monitoring every angle. It was the perfect trap. If Maya's contact took the bait, they would have enough evidence to confirm their suspicions. The minutes stretched into what felt like hours, but then, just as Maya was about to leave, Nathan saw something that sent a chill down his spine. One of his trusted team members, someone he had believed was loyal, was watching from the distance. It was Liam. Nathan's mind raced. Had Liam been the one leaking information to the enemy all along? Was he the one who had betrayed them? He quickly moved toward Liam's position, his heart pounding. When he confronted him, Liam's face was unreadable. "Is this what you've been doing?" Nathan demanded, his voice shaking with disbelief. "You've been working with them this whole time?" Liam didn't immediately answer. Instead, he looked past Nathan, his eyes flickering nervously as if considering whether to run. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "You don't understand, Nathan. You've been too focused on the wrong things. They offered me something. Something I couldn't refuse. Nathan stepped closer, feeling the weight of the betrayal hit him harder than ever. You were paid off. You were always a part of this, weren't you? Liam's face twisted with regret. I never wanted to hurt you. But I was stuck. They promised me I'd be free of everything if I helped them, but it was a lie. It was always a lie. Nathan was left speechless. The man he had trusted, the one he had worked alongside for so long, had betrayed him. And now, the entire operation was at risk. As Nathan stood there, processing the depth of the betrayal, he realized one thing: if he didn't act fast, the criminal network would succeed in taking everything from him. The company, his reputation, and everything he had worked for would be destroyed. He turned to Maya, his expression grim. We need to get out of here, now. We can't let Liam warn them. But just as they were about to leave, the unmistakable sound of sirens blared in the distance. It was too late, the trap had been sprung, and they were now in the center of a deadly game. Maya's eyes widened in panic. Nathan, we need to go. Now. The sirens grew louder, closing in fast. Nathan realized that this would be the last stand, a final confrontation with everything on the line. As they hurried to escape, Nathan's mind raced. He had exposed the truth, but the cost was higher than he ever imagined. The criminal network wasn't just going to go away, they were coming for him now, and there would be no turning back. The sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder by the second. Nathan's heart raced, and adrenaline surged through his veins as he turned to Maya, his face grim. There was no time to waste. They had to make a choice now. Maya's eyes were wide with fear, but there was a steely resolve in her expression. She had been through too much to back down now. We need to take the information we have and expose them. If we run now, we lose everything. Nathan's jaw tightened. Maya was right. Running wouldn't help, they had already fought too hard for too long to let this be the end. But with the sirens drawing closer, he knew their window of opportunity was closing fast. We're going to finish this, he said, his voice steely. The plan was simple: use the evidence they had gathered to expose the entire criminal network. Nathan had one final trump card left, an anonymous dossier containing the names of the entire syndicate, all carefully organized. If they could get it to the right hands, the entire operation would come crashing down. With Liam's betrayal now undeniable, Nathan couldn't afford to trust anyone who wasn't directly involved in the mission. They needed to move quickly. As they rushed toward a safe location to upload the dossier, the sound of footsteps echoed from the hallway. Nathan's pulse quickened. Suddenly, the door burst open. Liam, with his face twisted in anger, stepped into the room. But this time, he wasn't alone. Behind him stood two more figures, agents from the criminal network, their weapons drawn. Nathan's eyes flickered to Maya. There was no turning back now. He could sense the weight of the moment. They were trapped, and this was it, the final confrontation. I knew you'd try something like this, Liam sneered. It's over, Nathan. You thought you could win. You were never going to win. Nathan met his gaze with cold determination. You underestimated me. And now, you're going to pay. In the next heartbeat, everything exploded into chaos. The agents lunged forward, but Maya, her instincts sharp, reacted first. She grabbed the nearest object, a metal rod, and swung it at one of the agents, knocking him off balance. Nathan took the opportunity to rush Liam, tackling him to the ground. There was a brutal, ferocious struggle as Nathan's anger boiled over. Liam had betrayed him, destroyed everything Nathan had worked for. But now, Nathan would make him pay. Why, Liam? Nathan gasped between punches. Why betray everything we built? Liam struggled beneath him, blood trickling from a cut on his lip. His eyes were filled with regret, but his words were bitter. You never understood. They offered me something better. More than you ever could. But Nathan didn't care anymore. The truth didn't matter. What mattered was ending this now. Just as Liam made a last-ditch attempt to twist the knife, the sound of sirens grew deafening. Nathan could hear the wail of police cars closing in on the building. The network's agents panicked, distracted by the noise, and Nathan saw his chance. "Maya," he shouted. Without hesitation, Maya bolted for the door, the dossier in her hand. Nathan, still on top of Liam, made sure he couldn't follow. He could hear the agents shouting, the gunfire ringing out as they made their escape, but there was no turning back. In the end, it wasn't Nathan or Maya who brought the network down. It was the information, the dossier, that had the power to destroy it all. Maya uploaded it to a secure server, sending it out to every news outlet, law enforcement agency, and whistleblower network she could find. The truth was exposed, and it couldn't be silenced. By the time the police arrived, the building was filled with chaos. The syndicate's agents were arrested, and Liam was taken into custody for his role in the conspiracy. His once proud face now held nothing but defeat. As the pieces of the puzzle came together, Nathan and Maya stood outside the police station, watching the storm unfold. The network that had controlled their lives for so long was crumbling, and there was no escaping the damage they had caused. The people they had deceived and betrayed were now demanding justice. Maya turned to Nathan, her expression uncertain. "What happens now?" Nathan took a deep breath, his eyes tired but determined. "We move forward. We rebuild what we can, and we make sure they never hurt anyone again." Months passed, and the dust slowly settled. The criminal network that had once seemed untouchable was now dismantled, its members behind bars, its assets seized, and its influence shattered. Nathan and Maya, having survived the worst, found themselves at a crossroads. For Nathan, the fallout from the conspiracy had taken a toll on his company. The public scandal had caused irreparable damage to his reputation, but he was determined to rebuild. He became a driving force for transparency in business, advocating for ethical practices and accountability in a world rife with corruption. Maya, too, found a new purpose. She started her own non-profit organization dedicated to helping people who had been manipulated by criminal organizations, giving them the resources they needed to escape and start over. She used her experiences to help others navigate the complex web of deceit that had nearly consumed her. As for Isla, she was never found. Her disappearance was a mystery that continued to haunt Nathan, but he knew one thing for sure: he would never allow anyone to have that kind of control over his life again. The betrayal stung, but it had also given him clarity. He no longer needed the past to define him. Nathan stood at the window of his office, looking out over the skyline. The world outside was quiet, almost peaceful. For the first time in a long while, he felt like he could breathe again. The chaos, the lies, the fear, it was all behind him now. But he knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The scars left by the betrayal would remain, and the memories of what they had lost would linger. But that didn't matter. Nathan had learned the hardest lesson of all, that no matter how deep the betrayal, there was always a way forward. And with Maya by his side, he was ready for whatever came next. The world was waiting. And so, Nathan's journey comes to a close, but the questions remain. What will his future hold? Can trust truly be rebuilt, or is it forever lost? As the past fades, the road ahead is uncertain, but one thing is for sure: nothing is ever truly over. Sometimes, the greatest battles are fought not in the boardroom or with enemies, but within ourselves. The road to redemption is never easy, but it's always worth taking. What do you think? Will Nathan and Maya ever find peace, or is their battle just beginning? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share your theories with us. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss the next chapter of this thrilling journey. Trust us, there's more to come, and you won't want to miss it.